What up, guys? It is Tuesday, May 26th. I hope everyone had a great long weekend and a great Memorial Day. Got outside with this nice weather. So today we are going to finish up 11.5 and do part 2 of it. So just a reminder of what we're talking about. 11.5, the first part, we were dividing by just a monomial, so just one term, right? Now, if we look at example 2, what it's called, we're dividing a polynomial by a binomial now. All right, and if we read right here, it's just saying that we can use long division to divide a polynomial by a binomial. All right, it can be a little confusing, but hopefully once I explain it, it'll make a lot more sense, okay, of how we can do that. All right, but quick, your learning target kind of matches that pretty well. I can use long division to divide a polynomial by a binomial. That's our learning target today. That's what we need to be able to do by the end of this lesson. All right, so there's a couple of examples. All right, we're going to do 2, 3, and 4 today. All right, so example 2 is when we're dividing and there's no remainder. Okay, so there's nothing left over after we divide. So let's look at an example where that's the case. So example 2. So I'm going to walk you through what the book does first, and I'll show my work in the next one. So we're taking this trinomial and dividing by this binomial. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set it up like long division. All right, and then we're going to follow that step. So we're going to set it up like long division. Okay, so m plus 1 is what we're dividing by. Remember, that's the divisor that goes on the outside. Okay, m squared plus 4m plus 3, that's what we are dividing. Okay, we're dividing m squared plus 4m plus 3 by m plus 1. So this m squared plus 4m plus 3, that's called the dividend. Okay, and m plus 1 is called the divisor. All right, so I'm going to be using that vocab. So hopefully we know that vocab for this lesson. All right, so what it is saying for step 1 is to divide the first term of the dividend, that would be m squared, okay, by the first term of the divisor, which would be m. All right, so they're saying, what is m squared divided by m? It would be m. Another way I like to think of it is, what can I multiply by m to get m squared? Which would obviously also be m. So this is really important what it says here. It says to align like terms in the quotient and the dividend. So this is the quotient up here, right? Our answer to the division problem. It says align like terms. All right, so we're going to put that m over 4m. We don't want to put it over m squared. Okay, so again, m squared divided by m, that gives me m, right? Now what do we do when we divide? We then, underneath our dividend, we put what m times m is, which is m squared, and what m times 1 is, which is m. Okay, so that's what it shows here. Multiply m by the divisor, basically. Okay, and then we can subtract. If we subtract, m squareds get canceled. That's why there's nothing here. 4m minus m gives me 3m, and then 3 minus nothing is 3. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing. Now I'm going to divide, what's 3m divided by the first term in the divisor? So first term in the dividend by the divisor, or what's left by the divisor. So 3m divided by m, that's going to give me 3. Okay, so that's what they show here. Step 2, divide the first term of 3m plus 3, what was left here, by the first term of the divisor, which is m. Okay, and that's what they're showing us now here. Okay, so here's 3m plus 3 divided by m. That gives me 3. Remember, align the like terms in the quotient and the dividend. All right, so now we're going to say, all right, so 3m divided by m is 3. So now I have to go back and do my work. So what's 3m, or I'm sorry, what's 3 times m? 3m. What's 3 times 1? 3. And then again, I subtract, and in this case, I don't have a remainder. All right, so we get 0, and then my answer is simply m plus 3 in this case. Okay, let me show you something real quick. There's a study tip here that I really like. All right, there's a study tip here. That study tip says there is no remainder in example 2. So you could have factored the dividend and divided out the common factor. So what they're saying is, what if we just factored m squared plus 4m plus 3, right? With our x factor that we use, we would have ended up with splitting it up into m plus 3 and m plus 1. Since we're dividing by m plus 1, we could have just canceled those out to get our answer. Okay, so that's something we could do in example 2, but that's not always going to be a possibility. So if you wanted to go ahead and try that first and see if that works, go ahead, because you can get the answer a lot faster than what I just showed. But again, not always will that work. All right, so extra example 2. I am just going to show you really fast, guys, that for this, I have c squared minus 14c plus 49 divided by c minus 7. I could try, like I just mentioned, I could try and factor this and see if it's possible. Right? My factors would be -7 and -7. So I could really split this trinomial into 2 binomials. So I could show you how I can get my answer really quick if I could factor. And then I'll show you the long division in a minute. But what I'm showing you here is if you can factor and there's no remainder like there isn't in this problem, what you could do is just cancel out one of the c minus 7s and you have your answer right away. All right, so I would suggest trying that first. But so, again, sometimes it's not going to work, which I'll show you in the next example. But now I want to show you how we can get that same answer using long division quick. Okay, so remember, this is how we would set it up. C minus 7 is being divided from c squared minus 14c plus 49. Okay, so remember, our first step is to say, what is this first term, c squared, divided by the divisor's first term, c? What's c squared divided by c? How many c's are left? 1. We align the like terms in our quotient and our dividend. Okay, now we have to do the math, right? We have to take what we get when we divide and multiply now by the divisor. So what's c times c? C squared. What's c times -7? -7c. Okay, now I'm going to subtract. Now remember, this is really important to picture this as if it were in parentheses. All right, c squared minus c squared is 0, so I'm not going to put anything here. Now, really important, -14c minus -7c is really addition. So what's -14c plus 7c? There's -7c left. Okay, I bring down my plus 49 because 49 minus 0. Okay, and now I just do the same thing with what's left. This first term divided by this first term. All right, what's -7c divided by positive c? The c's cancel, right, and it's just -7. -7. Now we have to multiply. Ready? -7 times c is -7c. -7 times -7 is positive 49. Okay, so when I try and go and subtract now, remember, I only picture this as if it's in parentheses to remember. I have to kind of distribute the negative, right? So -7c minus a negative, that's really plus, cancels, right? 49 minus 49 cancels. I'm left with 0. There's no remainder here. So my answer's up here. All right, then the c minus 7 is my final answer. Okay, so that's an example of where there's no remainder. All right, that's an example of where there's no remainder. Now, let's look. Let's scroll down and look at how we have to write our answer when there is a remainder. Now, before example 3, it says, when you use long division to divide polynomials and you obtain a non-zero remainder, use the following rule. So basically, they're saying we take our dividend, we divide by the divisor, we get our quotient, but then if there's a remainder, what we want to do is we want to add or subtract it from the quotient. We want to put the remainder over top of what we were dividing by in the first place. Okay, that's going to make a lot more sense when I show it to you right now here. All right, so another thing I want to show you. There is something wrong with this. 2 minus 7y plus y squared. It isn't in standard form. Guys, it's got to be in standard form for this to work. Okay, we have to put everything in standard form for this to work. Okay, first thing they're showing you. It says, write the dividend in standard form. All right, now I'm going to run through this pretty quick because it's the same steps as before. All right, Same steps as before. Y squared, the first term of the dividend divided by the divisor, the first term of the divisor gives us y. We do the math. Y times y is y squared. Y times -3 is -3y. Subtract. Okay, subtract. -7 minus -3, that's really plus, which gives us -4y. Bring down the 2. Now, what's -4y divided by y? -4. And then we multiply, right? We multiply -4 times y minus 3. -4 times y is -4y. -4 times -3, positive 12. Okay? Now, what happens is, when we subtract in the end, we're left with something that's left over. It's called a remainder. Okay? So, I have this as my quotient with a remainder of -10. So, here's how I write my answer. Ready? My quotient, since it's -10, minus, we're going to say my quotient minus that 10, that remainder, over top of what we were dividing by in the first place, which was y minus 3. So the remainder goes over the divisor when we have a remainder. All right? So it's the same steps, but now we have a remainder. So let me show you an extra one here. Okay? Now, what I like about this one, everything's in standard form for me already, so that's nice, right? So I'm going to say d minus 4 here, dividing it from d squared minus 5d plus 7. Okay, here we go. D squared minus d is d. D times d is d squared. D times -4, -4d. Okay, let's subtract. D squared minus d squared cancels, there's nothing left. -5d minus a negative is really plus. That leaves me with just -1d. Bring down the plus 7. Okay, let's divide again. This first term by this. -d divided by positive d, -1. The d's canceled, there's -1 left. Okay, now -1 times d, -d. -1 times -4, -1 times -4, that's positive 4. Okay, that's a 4. We subtract. -d minus -d, that cancels. 7 minus 4 leaves me with 3. All right, so my answer is d minus 1 is my quotient with a remainder of 3. Here's how I write my answer. Quotient d minus 1. I have a positive 3, so I'm going to say plus my remainder over my divisor, what I divided by. Okay, so this is right here is how we write our answer when we have a remainder in the end after doing the long division. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. And we got one last thing to talk about. It's called inserting a missing term. Okay, I also want you to be mindful of this. I said it before, but I want you to be mindful of it again. It says when dividing polynomials using long division, we must first write the polynomials in standard form. And now we're going to talk about, and we also must insert any missing terms. So let's look at what that means. Example 4 shows us we're dividing 3q squared minus 8 by q minus 2. What's different about this problem is hopefully you're seeing there's no like middle term where there's just a single q in the term. Okay, so here's what they do. Here's what they do. The 3q squared minus 8, we must insert a missing term, it's called. Okay, in order to keep this division true and make it work, we're going to put a 0q in there in the middle of the 3q squared and the minus 8 to again keep this true and have like terms, help us to have like terms. So again, it says include a q term with a coefficient of 0. So if there's a missing term when you're dividing like this, we're just going to include or insert a missing term of 0 and whatever variable you're working with. All right, and then it's literally the same exact thing, okay, where we go through the same exact steps. All right, so hopefully that makes sense, and then again, we have a remainder of 4 here. So how do we write our answer? 3q plus 6. And then plus 4 over what we were dividing by q minus 2. All right, so what was different there is we had to insert that missing term. Let's see what we have here. All right, let me walk you through this last one quick. So what I'm seeing is there's a missing term. All right, I have 4y squared minus 16. I need to put a 0y in the middle of this, okay, to make this work. Let's do this one quick. I have 2y plus 4 being divided from 4y squared. I'm going to say plus 0y minus 16, okay? 4y squared divided by 2y is 2y. So the reason I insert that term is right here, so that I have like terms that I can work with, okay? So now 2y times 2y is 4y squared. That's kind of the point. 2y times 4, that's going to give me positive 8y. We're going to subtract. Okay, 4y squareds cancel. 0y minus positive 8y, that's going to become negative 8y minus 16. What's negative 8y divided by 2y? Negative 4. Negative 4. Negative 4 times 2y is negative 8y. Once again, that's kind of the point. Negative 4 times positive 4, that's negative 16. So this is actually a nicer problem because I end up with the exact same thing, meaning when I subtract, these cancel, these cancel. I don't have a remainder here. So my final answer here is just 2y minus 4. Sorry for how sloppy this all is, but it's very difficult to use just a mouse. All right, so that's it. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. And at this point, you're just going to go in here and you're going to complete this 11.5 practice part 2. There's 7 questions, I believe. All right, so you'll practice that today. If you have any questions, email me or ask in the discussion thread, and I'll talk to you guys later.